don't wanna fight, 'cause I don't like the way it feels. Those cutting words that never heal. Behind the barricade, you're tossing grenades while I'm trying to settle and disengage. You're playing with fire, preparing for war. I'm ready to settle the score. You're sounding the alarm while I'm trying to remain in the calm before the storm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Rift Happens. We are here, and I've got two dancing faces. Like I said, I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to do that to you. But I'm Justin T here as your host, joined by my esteemed co-host, as always, Ronnie B. He's right down there, Texas State Championship coach. And we have a special guest tonight. If you look right above me there, we have Pathfinder Edmund. You've heard his voice all over Coach Rivals Season 2 games as a caster. Notable. I'm bringing in all the trophy people here. Y'all just going to make me look good because he is also a Play versus regional champion as well as a co-coach state champion. So I'm in the presence of greatness now. You can't beat it.
Justin, you're too kind. Yeah, we're happy to, I'm happy to be here as always, but to be joined by Edmund, I mean, it's almost like we're bringing the band back together from the state championship run, and now you get to enjoy, I've been hiding this guy. He's like my little hidden gem, and now I've been sharing him with the CR community, and now with the Rift Happens community, and I couldn't be more excited to have him here.
Edmund, oh, Ronnie, you're just too kind. I don't deserve such a good praise. I mean, the team especially has done so much work in vet preparation for Play VS and Texas Taps. So it's not fair for me to get all the credit. So let me give some love to Justin as well, who absolutely helped us crush Texas Taps championships in Play VS. So Justin, back to you.
Hey, yeah, that's
awesome.
True. We got advice from you. That's true. We did. That's absolutely true.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, you threw it out in the Discord. There were several of us that pitched some ideas. So it was a team effort. It was a team effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. This is probably our next to last video version of this. I don't know, but either way, I'm just excited to bring in. We have the TriCast going here, and there are some reasons for that because we have a special episode today where we're going to be previewing the finals of Coach Rivals Season 2, and as I am a little biased by nature, I decided it would be best to bring in a neutral party, so to prevent any sort of shenanigans or accusations from flying out. I'm bringing in a neutral party. All right, but before we get into all of that, I did want to open up with the segment here that everybody has been looking forward to. It is the Drawing Our Favorite Champions segment. Oh, no. So, gentlemen, if you could open up your Google slide presentation, and we're going to go through these a little bit at a time, one at a time, actually. And if you have the privilege of watching us live right now in video form, then you're going to see these creations in all of their glory. If you're listening to us later, right? Maybe you're listening to us on Spotify or Anchor FM or your favorite podcast provider, then you're missing out. But we're going to do our best to describe these for you. And I'll put a Google Drive folder link in the description on Anchor.fm so that you can access it later. I believe that description also carries over to Spotify and other podcast platforms. But either way, Ronnie, we're actually going to hit them with yours first. So you don't say anything, and we're going to see. Edmund and I are going to take this first one, and we're going to go from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're starting off. And
I would say wrong guesses only, but like,
chat,
what's the point?
Be sure to participate and hop in and give us your guesses. So,
what champion is this?
Wait,
Edmund, take
Ronnie,
it away.
You drew this?
I did.
Okay.
So the assignment was we had to draw it using this JS Paint site, and I'm also super bad at drawing. So when I went on, I started drawing some stuff. It wasn't working, and I gave up and I did this, and this is the best I could come up with.
I mean, to give you credit, I probably would have done worse. For our viewers or our listeners, rather, what Ronnie drew kind of resembles like a pink fish armadillo hybrid with a tail.
Oh, that's so good.
And then like it has a shark fin, but it's almost like a comb over instead of a shark fin.
It only has two. It has two legs, so it's a pink fish that has evolved with two legs.
So it's a humanoid.
Okay, so Chad is saying it's a crown, not a fin.
Oh no,
could be a crown.
A pink fish with a crown.
I think it's I can't say anything. So
I mean, yeah. If we were to ignore all aspects except for the crown, then it kind of has to be Viego, right?
but guess.
But I think it kind of resembles Rek'Sai because the I think Rek'Sai has like two big arms, but then I don't remember Rek'Sai having any like legs or maybe my memory is just failing me, but I think I have to lock in Rek'Sai for this guess.
I would have to go back. I think I did spoil my initial one. I think my initial guess was Kog'Maw, and then I changed it to Rek'Sai.
Yes.
Because of the colors. The colors are what threw me. The pink and the purple. I was like, oh, it's Rek'Sai. But then where does the Mohawk come into play here?
Yeah, no, it's Kog'Maw, guys, and
I'm looking at like Kog'Maw skins right now, and I'm trying to figure out which one is the pink one.
Yeah, it's
isn't that the pink chroma for like arcane Kog'Maw?
Yeah, it's the Arcanist one. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay. Oh, I see it now. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, see, it's abstract art. Yeah. No, it's definitely a little too pink. But when I picture Kog'Maw, like he's kind of okay. So also the color palette on the site is very limited. I should mention, it's like 20 colors. So I was like, he's like void color, but there's no void color, so this is the closest I could get. I think
it's beautiful. I think you set the standard moving forward with this. Yeah. Okay.
This is real Kog'Maw artwork. Riot, if you're hiring, please.
So Coach Mustang with the pro tips in chat, you can right click on the colors down there and you have a custom color palette that you can start to work with. That's an old school MS Paint trick.
I think if Ronnie had included the tongue, it might have been a telltale giveaway.
Yeah, the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, the tongue. Right.
Yeah, the spittoon. Right.
All right. Well, great job, Ronnie. I'm gonna go to this next one here. This one's gonna be mine, and I'll let the two of you take it away.
Oh, bro.
Wow. Like. This is just a showcase of artistic talent, and like I can't put it in any other way because like, how did you achieve this with MS Paint? Because like,
dude, yeah, I'm shook. Like this is like I'm brought to tears almost. I mean,
Like I can't even draw a line in MS Paint, and like he comes out with this like amazing like masterpiece.
right? Like I can't even, man.
Is this like a
amazing.
Banksy? Is this a Banksy painting?
This, you know what? I think we should enshrine this. This should be there's no signature on this, but really it should be I know the hands. Yeah, someone else noticed the hands. I said the same.
The
The
hands.
hands are a masterpiece. The extra little oomph on the end. It's fantastic, Justin.
Yeah, catch these hands.
Yeah. I mean,
He
there's
was-
no question who this is.
He was
This
in
is
an
so good.
accident.
Yeah, he was yeah. You could have reversed time, bro. He's Zillion,
If you look at his eyes, there's definitely something wrong with the eyes.
Oh,
So,
It's the groovy Zillion skin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Honestly, I cannot wait for this to appear in like Jeff Bezos's like mansion one day, and like we're just like, oh, who's that artist? And it's like, oh, it's just small time artist called Justin, and then like he's just gonna blow up.
Neshama. He needs to take this one into his next space trip, bro.
Yeah.
Take it to space.
well, so obviously our two masterpieces here are are nothing compared to the magnificent works of art that our listeners submitted. So we are going to be diving in to what our listen. That was Zillion, by the way. Good job getting
Yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure. If you've ever played League of Legends, you got that one.
I looked directly at his splash art and tried to put as many. I tried to like proportionally match it, and it was just an awful mess. But
Okay, to be fair, I did mine from memory, so if that
it
helps
said-
at all.
so you actually get bonus points off of that.
Oh, thank God. That was rough.
Yeah.
So-
The way I used to pass art class is I just put my paper on top of like a monitor and I just draw like a car or like a lead character, like just
Yeah.
trace it, and
Traced
I'm just
it?
like, yeah,
The
because
overhead projector style.
yeah, exactly, because I'm like I have no talent when it comes to
Classic.
art.
I'm crying here. Okay, so here we go, gentlemen. Slide number 5. This is our first listener submission. Chat, get ready. Throw out your guesses. This is from Coach Magros out of Texas.
Oh wow! I think the fact that it's Coach Magros is a dead giveaway. Who this is?
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
All right, so let's for our listeners, it's Pink Zach with khaki pants and a triangle belt, right?
a
Belt,
YouTube play
yeah.
button belt.
It is the YouTube play button.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And he's got a giant axe.
We've got giant loincloth in the chat.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I love this. I mean, Coach Magros knocked this out of the park. I mean, like, it's one thing to have a 100% win rate with a champion. It's another thing to master the art of a champion.
yeah, exactly. And especially even more when he used this champion to success so many times in Coach Rivals Season 2. Feel like, especially towards the early bit of Coach Rivals, but I think I'm just gonna come out and say it. It looks like Scion.
Yes,
It does. It looks a little bit like Scion.
Definitely Scion. I really like the eyes, how they're angled down to really show that he's angry.
Yeah.
I really like that little detail. Was it like King Jarvan's flag above his head, or the
Yeah,
remainder thereof? Yeah,
it's
and like it's
fantastic.
waving as if it's like in the wind, and also like King Jarvan's crown on his on his neck. Oh, it's the little details,
If you're not watching this and you're listening, you're really missing out because this is fantastic.
Yeah, the muscle definition is huge. His
Yeah.
pecs are on there. We'll
Schmitty.
see some more pecs later on, courtesy of another coach. But yeah, the one of the things that's really interesting to me is how he got the ribbon or the flag on the top of the head. It looks like water. It's like watercolor,
Hmm.
like
It's
paint
beautiful.
strokes. It looks that's impressive.
Oh yeah, it does.
You notice that? I guess that's another
Yeah.
tool on there that but it's definitely not like the pen tool, It looks
That's all.
good.
It's I tapped out, man. I tapped out with the little spray can. I was like, yeah, graffiti. That was it.
All right, so yes, you're all correct. I'm assuming. I don't know. I didn't get the answer, so yeah, that's Scion. Moving on. This one stumped me. Slide number 6. We may need audience participation on this to help us here. This is from Coach Tony 12 out of New Mexico.
Wow.
I don't know.
I thought for sure this is going to be Robbie when I saw this because it seems like such a troll response, and he's like he has mastered the art of trolling everyone. I feel like in a kind way. I love you, Robbie, but yeah, I don't know, man. This is throwing me like the light bulb makes me think like Lux or something,
Yeah.
or like Leona.
So
For our listeners,
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
basically like a stick man
Mhm.
with holding a box with 200 lumen on the box. He wears a green cap, and then there's a light bulb hanging from like a linear ceiling. So like, I was absolutely stumped for the longest time looking at this, and because of the constant theme here is light, I could only come up with Lux. But yeah, I'm just stumped.
Yeah,
All right.
man. I don't know. Like, did we reach out to Coach Tony to figure out what this was?
I did
before?
not. I was hoping he'd be in chat tonight.
Oh man.
So, Ronnie, do you have a guess?
I gotta say, man, I don't. I've so like okay. Normally we don't see these ahead of time. You showed me this one like 3 or 4 days ago,
Mhm.
and I literally even with 3 or 4 days head start, I still have no clue, man. Like Lux. It's not Lux, but I'm gonna say Lux.
All right. So I thought Twitch. So, and hear me out, okay? Before you completely like crap on me here because the stick figure doesn't have a tail or something.
Yeah.
But is 200 lumen bright?
No, it's really dim.
Okay. So I'm thinking he's in the sewer. Doesn't Twitch base skin, doesn't he have like a little green cap on or something? So is he in the maybe he just replaced that light bulb in his sewers with a 200 lumen like a low light bulb? I
Right.
don't know.
Whoa.
Some
Look,
ambient
yeah.
light.
I don't know, man. I'm not
That's
thinking,
some
but
five head stuff, man.
we did have a suggestion in chat that yeah, Justin's trying to give the worst answers. We do have a
Success.
suggestion in chat that it was Commando Lux.
Commando Lux.
Mm.
Hmm.
I think that's because it's light, right? So
Yeah.
that would both I think y'all both said Lux. I think.
Dude,
I'm-
Coach Tony, please help us out,
Look
man.
up a
I'm never
picture of
gonna-
Twitch. Look up the base skin of Twitch, and see if he's wearing a green hat.
Has he? I don't know.
Yeah,
Look
I'm
it
just
up.
thinking of what champions wear green hats, and like all I can think about is Teemo, right? So I think you know how that light is like kind of the only bright thing in the room? That might signify his blind, you see?
Oh,
And then
okay.
like his 200 lumens thing, as you said, is very dim. So basically, if it signifies like his weapon, which is like his blowpipe or whatever that is, he's like switching the lights off, you know?
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna lock my guess in as Teemo, but like this is probably the hardest one we have so
It's
far.
tough. Yeah, and I can confirm Twitch has goggles, and he has like a weird like collar that's like popped.
Okay.
But
He
he
also has
does
a
not have a
crossbow.
hat.
But he does
Yes.
not have a hat. Okay.
Does not have a hat. Now OG Twitch has like this weird like little flap that lays on his head. It's not really a hat per se,
Okay.
but that's like a skin from like 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely not a rat. Like that's
Yeah.
like if you ignore the fact that the stick figure doesn't have a
It's not
tail,
rat at all. Yeah.
it's definitely a human. I was really reaching here because Coach Tony
Yeah.
threw us a curveball here, or maybe he's just bamboozling all of us and he's picking a character from a completely different game.
It's like, yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine's conductor or something. Like,
No, it's Bob the Builder. He's come
It's
to
Bob
fix your
the
light.
Builder. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Oh man. Okay, so the jury's out on this, so we don't know. We'll leave it up to Coach Tony 12. Y'all hit him up on Discord and ask him because everybody wants to know what this one
stumped.
is. All right, moving. I would like to apologize to every viewer right now for
Yes.
what's coming next. Okay, so slide number 7 here. I'm not even going to reveal who this was. The name, I know who submitted it. Okay, I know who submitted this, but they left their name as "I hope that you review these." Now, I will say, okay, all right, he's claiming it. Okay, Robbie, this is from Hernandez Teaches.
It was, yes.
Now, let me
I
clarify
told
something
you he's
here.
such a troll. Yeah.
Look, see this parental advisory explicit content? I had to add that, okay? Because I don't know if what I can show here and keep us within Twitch's terms of service, okay?
Yeah. That's right.
So Schmitty
thought
J
that
thinks
was
I'm
intentional.
teasing everybody.
Yeah. No,
I thought that was completely intentional, to be honest. And
she's stacked.
No,
behind
yeah,
that
well,
line.
listen. Okay, so for the listeners, there is a stick figure here with two endowments.
Arms. Oh.
Yeah. Two endowments near the art. It's clearly a female. Okay, but it was like it's very obviously a female. Like anatomically, you can tell this is a female. So thank you to Mr. Hernandez for helping us out there. But the stick figure has no face. There's no hair, but it looks as if she's holding a tree stump. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, I got it. So initial thoughts, right? Like, not a lot to go on here other than like boobs, but my my whole thought was like it kind of looks like Tristana's gun, but then no boobs. So I thought, I know this is awkward territory, right? But this is where we are. So I thought maybe Sivir.
That's not a boomerang.
it's not.
Or
No,
a circle.
but boobs.
I think. Well, sticking with that theme, the first champion that comes to mind when that word is said for me is Misfortune, right?
Right.
But if we were to take the theme of the tree stump literally, I think Lilia could be another, or Zyra. I think they could be decent guesses because they're all also pretty well endowed. But
Yeah.
I mean,
What is
I'm
happening?
not gonna be.
We're spiraling out of control.
This is
I mean-
Robbie's fault, man. Blame Robbie.
He set out with a goal in mind, and what do you know? He achieved it.
Yeah. Well, what's your guess, Justin? Throw it out there.
My initial
Yeah.
My-
When the
my-
fire's turned on you.
my initial guess was Tristana because I thought that the tree stump was her rocket launcher, like cannon thing. That was what that was my initial thought. But then I had consulted some others to get some assistance, and they said, well, that doesn't make sense because of the rest of the picture. So yeah, you got the tree stump rocket, but the rest of it doesn't really mesh with what you're saying. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the what's covered up there is a clue. Maybe y'all are onto something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Chad is also saying Janna. I think that's a good guess.
I think I'm gonna go against the grain here and lock in Nidalee because
Okay.
because
that
I
looks
think,
like a spear to you.
No, it's more like the tree stump thing with Lilia. I mean, it's a humanoid figure. It doesn't look like like a. Oh, I'm forgetting the term here. Like a half human, half horse, or
Oh,
half
yeah.
deer. Apologies.
I love where the show has gone today.
Yeah. So like, I'll just have to say, Nidalee, because Misfortune has two guns. I mean, of the weapon kind. and I really can't think of any other champion that's fits the theme, so I'm just gonna have to lock in Nidalee.
Well said. Well said. Robbie, I mean, do you want to reveal for us in the chat who this is? You're here.
I can't
I
even.
mean, we're all waiting on pins and needles, man. We've all thrown our guesses out there.
So Coach Mustang is guessing that it's Sona. We had an Ash guess, a Samira guess. He said I wrote it was any female gun champion. Well, that doesn't. That does.
I told you this guy has mastered the art of trolling. I swear.
Okay.
Jinx or Kate. Okay, no. Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah, that can't be Jinx. Like,
I'm
he's
not-
right.
Move on. Move on.
Okay,
move on.
okay. So next, slide number 8 here. We have this is from Mr. Eric29 out of Mississippi. So this one is a stick figure. This one does have hair. There's clearly long hair, even though it's very matted. She's happy. There's a gigantic smile. Looks like she's holding a stick with a triangle on the top of it, and there's a lemur. What's that over to the right side? What is that?
Elongated squirrel.
It's Yumi. It's
Yumi.
Yeah. What'd you say? The parasite, right?
The tapeworm.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously like, okay, no one really has a spear except Nidalee and Pantheon.
Okay.
Maybe it's Pantheon with Yumi attached.
Ah, that's it. You broke the
Because it
code.
can't be Nidalee because it's both at the same time.
But Nidalee can swap to her cougar form.
Right?
Maybe
but
that's what that.
There can't be two Nidalees.
Hey, that is true. That's true. These are both existing simultaneously.
I've cracked
Oh,
the
maybe
code.
it's a blind pick game.
see, over here with the 5-head. I swear that was amazing. Doe, Ronnie.
Oh
Blind
man.
pick game.
Yes, I think you're all correct.
Listen.
I think it is Nidalee.
Yeah, probably Nidalee.
Probably Nidalee.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain one more time here, and I'm gonna say that's Lulu, and the little animal is Airy. Because it's not Pix, right? Because
Right.
Pix is like a butterfly, but if
Right.
it's like Airy build Lulu, I think I'm gonna lock that one in.
Edmund's on one tonight, you guys. Let's give it up. That was
Man.
perfect.
All right. So that's her hat on the stick. Man, I've been crying since like 2 pictures ago. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
I know we're off the rails so bad.
Okay, so you've seen everything so far. Now we're actually going to get into pictures that I never thought were possible to create in Microsoft Paint or JS Paint. Like, this goes beyond anything that I thought was humanly possible in that software. So
Yeah. Agreed.
Here we go. Slide number 9. This is from SU12 out of New York. And like, we can describe it all we want, but we don't have to like give it some sort of weird description. Like, just looking at it, you know exactly who this champion
that's
is.
Ziggs.
That's Ziggs.
Yeah. Right off the bat. I mean, that's the Yordle himself in the flesh. The color palette, everything, the crazy smile, he nailed it. He or she nailed it.
If you've noticed, Ziggs' mouth has a ton of teeth in it, and same thing here. Like, more teeth than you could possibly fit into a mouth. They're there.
Yeah.
You know, this picture, it's not like the most detailed or true to life like rendition of Ziggs, but what I love is that they captured his essence of like slight instability so perfectly with that crooked smile and like the skull on the bomb, and like it's really unmistakable, even though again, it's not the most like proportionally correct picture of Ziggs, but that like the emotion is all there, so that's why I just love this so much.
Well said. Yeah, the maniacal unnervingness of Ziggs. Absolutely.
Is Ziggs' nose pink?
I don't know, but I think it should be if it's not, because this is fantastic.
Yeah, right. Really screwed up if his nose isn't pink.
We are looking for jobs, Riot. Come through.
So I will say this, okay? We have 4 left, including this one. So 3 more after the Ziggs one. These are in no particular order, okay? I'm just throwing it out there. These are in no particular order. All of these are so good compared to the the arc that we saw prior.
The stuff I
Slide
did.
7,
Yeah.
the infamous Slide 7.
Slide 7. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Slide 10. This is from Coach Amy Ball out of Arizona. Like,
Wow.
is this
Wow.
real?
Yeah, this is definitely. This is another one where you're like right away, you know who this is. Like, it's obviously Miss Fortune. The hair with the like shading in the back of the hair,
Mhm.
and like the wink and everything. The smoke coming out of the gun because she just got a double kill. That's really good.
Yeah, it's almost like she's blowing the smoke too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I like how the picture also cuts off at like the collar part of the shirt, so it doesn't like. Now I know where you're going with it, but what I'm saying is it's a great way of framing the bottom of the image versus having to draw all the way straight down.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool, but then the hair drapes over that. And so it's, I don't know. I just thought it was it's extremely impressive. She's got the pirate hat on, the wink, the eyelashes. You can make out her eyelashes.
We got some artists up in here, man. This is beautiful.
Yeah, this is insane. So Edmund, you have any other guess? Are you sold on it being Miss Fortune?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just like amazed that like there's this like little shadow right in the background of Miss Fortune's hair that's like a shade different from her like, you know, auburn red hair color, and like that detail really sells this for me. I feel
Yeah.
like that gives this picture like dimensionality and makes it more true to life than like what you imagine like paint can do, right? So I was just sitting here just flabbergasted about like the artist's talent basically.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice.
so good. So slide 11 here. This one should be. This one is extremely obvious as well,
Yeah.
but this is from Piper Maru out of Kentucky. The green
her.
blob, and as you obviously this is Zach, right? Are we all?
Yeah, this is totally
we
Zach.
all believe
Yeah.
this is Zach.
This is the man, dude. I love how this is incredible. I mean, okay, to be fair, Danielle's an art teacher, so I mean, I would expect no less from her.
I'm beginning to think we have a lot of art teachers in Coach Rivals.
Yeah, but this is even like from an art teacher. This is fantastic. Like seriously, from the tools you're given in this paint app, dude, this is really good.
I mean, in my opinion, it's like giving someone a spear and asking them to create a weapon of mass destruction, and like here it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic, gorgeous. I love the like feeling of elasticity that you get when you're
Uh-huh.
looking at it. It feels like Zach's just about to launch into you, you know, just be like hide your kids, hide your wife kind of feeling.
It's so good.
So yeah, so for listeners, this is Zach preparing his E to launch towards you, but it's like you're staring right at his face so he's pulling himself back. His hands are in the foreground, and you can see his feet like pushing his body back, stretching his arms. Now I will say this: she sent me like 3 or 4 different versions of this, and was like, "No, I like this one better. No, wait, use this one instead." I'm like,
Yeah.
they all look like I couldn't tell what the changes were that she was making, but I'm sure she could. I'm sure she can look at all these different versions. Same thing with Coach Ball and Eshi. Like I'm sure they could like make a minute change because we all are our worst critics, right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell. Like every single version she sent was really really good, but apparently she made some minor changes that I can't find what the problem was.
I love it. You see like the you know, like the elastic slingshot charging up, but you also see the W, like he's spamming the W.
Oh, the
with
blobs are coming off.
The blobs,
of it.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe he's trying to get away. Maybe there's some enemies around. He's like, oh crap, get me out of here. This is so cool. Like I love this.
All right, super, super impressive. And now we're going to move on to our last one before we get into some recapping some Coach Rival Season 2 action. Last one, this submission is from Coach Mustang out of California. And just like the previous 3 that we've seen, there is absolutely no doubt, or should be no doubt in anyone's mind, that this is Sona, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this could be the splash art. It's a complete. The whole thing is just so pretty. Like you have all the twinkling everywhere and like the highlights, and like it looks like she's in motion, even though it's just a still image. It's so cool.
I think I just found my new wallpaper. Like this kind of beats some of the stuff they have on League wallpapers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's like it's like artistic in like a different way because League wallpapers, they tend to be like very detailed and like they have like motion and lights, but this is just like simplistic, and I like the kind of 8-bit vibe that you get from DJ Sona naturally, or Arcade Sona, or rather.
Arcade. Yep.
Yeah, arcade. But then like they personified the art style and like put that 8-bit theme to great use and great work here. And like I can, I'm just amazed what people can do on Paint now. It's just giving me like a brand new like view of like how artistic these people can be, and to think they're also just almost as good as they're just as good as League in painting rather than in League of Legends. Sorry,
Yeah.
there, brain fart.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She even threw the
We've been through a lot
signature
this
on there.
episode. We've been through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No
I mean,
doubt. No doubt.
yeah, the effects of Slide 7 are still there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the signature in the bottom right is just the cherry on top. She even signed it, so I thought that was awesome. But yeah, so for listeners, this is like 100% Arcade Sona. We've got the 8-bit sparkles and the stars going around. She's got the neon hair and the huge kind of the necklace. Yeah, the gigantic keyboard. There with, and she's got are those like scrunchies that are going up her forearm? I think
the arm warmers.
Yeah, so I'm not. I was born in '84, so yeah. So some of this got some like so those '80s vibes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was. But I don't remember much of the '80s. I was too young. But she's saying don't look too close at the fingers. Did you see my Zillion?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. He's got no room to talk.
It's so good. So I'm gonna say, look, these last four, so SU12, Amy Ball, Piper Maru, and Coach Mustang, these are absolutely nuts, absolutely unreal. I'm blown away that this is even possible in MS Paint. So kudos to all of our artists. I was not expecting quality. I'll go ahead and say I don't think any of us were. We're asking the request to go through them again. We will real quickly. We have
Robbie. Show mine again.
We have Kog'Maw at the top. This is from Ronnie. We have my Zillion here. Oh, they want to put it on Discord and vote for the best.
Oh no.
We've got Scion from Coach Magros.
So good.
We've got the unknown here. So Coach Tony 12. Somebody needs to reach out and figure out who this is. Commando Lux, I think is good. I think that was a really solid guess in chat. We have random female champion with gun.
Stupid.
We have Nidalee from Eric29 in Mississippi. Obviously, Ziggs from SU12 out of New York. And then, of course, Misfortune from Coach Ball in Arizona. Zach from Piper Maru out of Kentucky. And we have Arcade Sona from Coach Mustang out of California. So, again, I was more expecting a lot along the lines of this and this. That's what I was expecting. But then we got stuff like the Ziggs, the MF, the Zach, and the Sona. So, awesome. Definitely blew us out of the water and more than we expected. So thank you all so much for participating. All right, so before we get into reviewing Coach Rivals Season 2 matches, the semifinals and the playoffs, as well as previewing our finals, I want to remind all the coaches out there that Coach Rivals, if you haven't heard, Coach Rivals is partnering with Cloud9 and their training grounds to pilot a Coach Rivals High School Esports Boot Camp this September. That boot camp is going to last 4 weeks long. It's going to take place about 2 to 4 days each week. Students will have direct coaching from the C9 staff, and coaches will get professional development from them as well about how to coach players for healthy gaming and mentality and things of that nature. All things that are super super important. So if what we are looking for is an interest feedback. So any coaches that are interested in participating in this, please visit the announcements channel in the Discord server and fill out that survey. It should be the most recent post in there in announcements. So make sure that you hop in there and fill that out for your chance at being a part of this. Could once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, how many times would you get the opportunity to allow your players to get coaching directly from a professional LCS organization, right?
Yeah, I mean, Edmund actually saw this stuff in the Discord. He reached out to me, "Hey man, we're gonna get the team on this." So I was like, "Yo, this must be legit." So I'm already working on it. So it's a pretty big deal, man.
I should have said we're only going in if it's a TSM camp.
Oh, oh, sick burn.
Show you how to speed run to the airport. All right, moving on. So also want to throw Skulls out there. Skulls is also partnering with Coach Rivals. Check them out at Skulls with a Z at the end .com. Skulls offers teams a range of print and on-demand products like jerseys, shirts, and other gear available in their words, not mine, 10 days or less. So hold them to it. Skulls also offers full custom designs and a dedicated shop where coaches, if you're out there looking for ways to fundraise for your program and you've got family and friends that would love to have a jersey for your esports program to support it, you can have your own dedicated shop where you get a portion of the sales directly to your program. So check them out, skulls.com. And I did hint at this last week. I'm still not going to give a lot of details, but there is something in the works between Skulls and Coach Rivals. So I don't know how much I can reveal. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I know something, but I don't know how much I'm supposed to know. So we're going to keep that under wraps and just keep everybody excited. So that being said, slide 15. Here we are. This past Thursday night, actually, we had the Coach Rivals Season 2 semi-finals. This is what the bracket looks like, or what it looked like going into July 29th. With Team Tragedy taking the win over Immortals, moving forward to the semifinals. Hotline Ping taking out Just Good Enough, and they're moving on. So they clashed on Thursday night, and Coach Diff fell to Team on the Right. So Team on the Right advanced, and then Deathcat for Cutie took out Spawn of Baron, and so Deathcat for Cutie versus Team on the Right took place on Thursday night, July 29th as well. So before we get into the finals, we want to review what took place this past Thursday night. So first off, we're going to talk about Deathcat for Cutie versus Team on the Right. Gentlemen, this is what Champ Select looked like. We'll go through it because obviously we have some listeners here, so we'll kind of talk it through, and then we can talk about maybe what we liked, what we didn't like about the Champ Select, maybe some unique flavors we see coming out from these teams in this particular matchup. But starting out with the ban phase, Deathcat for Cutie hitting hard with the Ezreal. We've seen Daddy Kai on Ezreal. Definitely want to get that. I'm sorry, Team on the Right is Will Win. So getting Will Win off the Ezreal. And then 2 target bans. When we see the Lulu, remind everybody that Lulu and Shen, both of those bans are actually going towards the top lane. That's not a support and top lane ban. Those are both heading towards top.
Yeah, Deathcap's got a really unique identity. I mean, really every team does in this league. We've kind of over the last couple of months, every team's carved out that kind of unique identity. And as you mentioned, Team on the Right, they favor the Ezreal. They also favor the Volibear, which you see locked in immediately after the first pick Ziggs from Deathcap over on blue side. Team on the Right says, you know what, we don't mind if you're blue side, you pick up the Ziggs, because that means we get Volibear and we get an engaged support, which they typically go for the Nautilus. And we've seen that Nautilus come out quite a bit. I think more than about half the games this season, Bulldog Mentors played Nautilus. So to see Leona come through basically serves the same purpose, and kind of the same idea there. So I think both teams in those first couple of picks get exactly what they want. Deathcat for Cutie also favors the Warwick jungle. So that was something that we've seen several times from Apocalypse. But then we got some spice here in that last couple of the last pick with the Alawi. I was not expecting that. What'd you think about that pick, Edmund?
I kind of because as a Darius, Mordekaiser, and set player myself, my heart goes out to Coach Dubs getting these 3 champions banned out. Getting target banned like that must be painful, especially when all 3 bans get used up on you. And I think Ilawi, it's more of a slapping a band-aid on a huge wound that was, the 3 bans, because his lane performance compared to Ornn, which is a very safe laner, very useful, low economy laner, just needs levels to stay relevant in the game. It isn't that good, considering that he died 7 times in the game, while the Ornn only died once. And even though Ornn has like a 30 CS deficit in the end of the game, it really doesn't matter, because Ornn is still going to be able to stay effective even though he doesn't have a lot of CS, or even if he's zoned out of CS early. And I think looking at the bans, I understand why Deathcap for Cutie targeted Ezreal and Lulu. Lulu is, she empowers ADC so much and will win, who's, a Diamond 2 ADC. With Lulu on his side, he's going to be unstoppable, because he can have the confidence that Lulu can shield him. She can polymorph the threat. So Lulu is a very good ban. So is the Shen, because Shen, puts shields on to the ADC. And with the recent buff to Shen, which gives his shield additional health scaling, that shield's just going to be even more chunky and hard to get through. And last but not least, Ezreal, which is Wilwyn's like premier like ADC pick. So the bans from Deathcap for Cutie was really good. But I think in this case, the Leona pick alongside the Samira, both very aggressive picks. And when you consider that they're going up against, Galio and Ziggs, which is pretty squishy as a champion, and Galio, who gets most of his value from like heavy AP matchups with his passive shield, instead of, Samira and Leona, which is pretty AD favored. I think that's why Wilwyn got such a good lane phase, and like was able to use that lane phase to snowball into a lead, ending the game with 15 kills and 227 CS.
Yeah, so for our listeners, we'll just kind of recap that if you're just listening, you can't see how Champ Select looks. So Deathcat for Q did open up with the Ezreal Lulu Shin ban. Team on the right open up with, as Edmund mentioned, the triple top lane bans, Mordekaiser, Darius, and Set. The Mordekaiser ban is a nod to the last time that Team on the right played Deathcat for Cutie, where Deathcat for Cutie did come out on top in the regular season, and a lot of it was due to that Mordekaiser ulting the Varus, the ADC, who was a really strong member of Team on the Right, and just taking the Varus completely out of the fight, leaving it a 4-on-4, where I believe it was an Orianna and a Rakan potentially there. So they just womboed the rest of Team on the Right whenever the ADC was out of the picture. So by the time the ADC came out of the death realm, it was, hey, surprise, your whole team's dead. So then we have the Ziggs first pick, which we've seen as a flex pick. Sones has been playing the Ziggs, has the pentakill on the Ziggs. I think this is our first time seeing Shiny Ninetales on the Ziggs, but they're bringing in that Ziggs as a flex pick. Team on the right answers with Volibear Leona. Deathcat for Cutie finishes out their first pick phase with Warwick Alawi. The Alawi did see some recent buffs, but I think you're right. I think there was kind of like pinching that champion pool, and we're kind of going to the Alawi because everything else got banned. Team on the right follows with the Fizz. We see Bullet Games on the Fizz doing some work there. Team on the right continues with Ornn. Deathcat for Cutie shows that Ziggs was being flexed to bottom by locking in the Tristana and the Galio. The Tristana was going towards Sones. He needed some redemption on that one. The last time he played Tristana in a CR match, I believe he ended up having about 10 deaths. And I don't say that to insult him. It's because he DM'd me about it, and he wanted some redemption on it. So I know he felt bad because he finally got his hands on the Tristana, and because it's been banned against him so much, he finally got it, and he didn't like his performance on it. So I'm sure he was excited to get it back. And then Team on the right rounds off with Samir. So we're actually going to play through the highlights here for everybody. And obviously we're not going to try to narrate over the highlights as to what's happening, but anything that y'all remember particularly about this match as it's playing through, kind of some standout moments while the audience is kind of seeing the highlights play on their screen.
Yeah, real quick. So this is the first at Lowy we've seen from Coach Rivals all season. Really big deal. We had the Ziggs ADC, as you mentioned. It's just kind of becoming a new thing. And Coach Rivals kind of a new meta almost. First Blood does go over to Will Win over at 3 minutes. This is the classic gank that Team on the Right's done almost every game. They do this bot lane gank with Rammus or Volibear. He shows up, he gets the Q knock up or the stun, depending on the champion, and then they get the kill. Typically, it's a double kill. This time, it was only one, but really consistent stuff there. Other than that, it was a pretty back and forth game until we got to the mid game phase. Some good tower dives, some Team on the Right, lots of spice, kind of. From both of these, nobody's afraid to engage and throw an ultimate out at a moment's notice. They're not afraid to scrap, and it showed in the KDA for sure.
In my opinion, what Team on the Right did really, really well was arriving to the fight that 3 to 5 seconds earlier than Deathcap for Cutie can respond. You see that in the early game with their trademark, bot lane gank. You also see that when they're reacting to a gank by Warwick, who unfortunately, when Warwick ulted in, he hit the Leona instead of the ADC, and that freed up Will Win to stack up his passive on Samira, get that S rank, and then go in with that ulti charged up. And what Team on the Right did so well in that early game was recognizing that potential to turn a potentially losing fight to a huge win. And this is a very crucial skill to have, especially when you're having such an aggressive team composition with Samira, with Leona. So Will Win definitely put in the work to secure his team in the early game, and they held on to the lead really well, and they did not overextend too much. They didn't have too many issues transitioning to the mid to the late game. They also had good objective control, and that's why I really, really liked that. The Samira plays, especially in conjunction with the Leona stuns and the Leona ultimate. So it was just really clean play all around.
Yeah, I think about this 20 and a half minute mark, this fight over here for the third Drake is where things really kind of ballooned that gold lead for Team on the Right, because up until that point, you could see on the minimap there that Tristana was in the mid lane splitting there. So Deathcat for Cutie went in on that fight 4v5. They knew it was a 4v5 and they took it. But now you look at this stage in the game here at the 25-minute mark, Deathcat for Cutie, they were able to get that mid lane inhib. So they were able to sack a couple of those objectives to be able to get the Drake, but unfortunately they took too many of those fights when they were already getting something answered on the other side of the map, and it just ended up giving way too much gold back over to Team on the Right. So not only did Team on the Right get the neutral objective, but it almost made any advantage they got out of the split and the macro play and getting the structures down almost made it just a complete wash, or even tipped it further in favor of Team on the Right, just because of all the deaths that they traded over with it. So I think that Deathcat definitely, they weren't out of it, but because even you look at 27 minutes, it's only a 3,000 gold lead. I mean, just shy of a 3,000 gold lead. And this was about 2,000 to 3,000 was the gold lead for a majority of this until close to the very end, where I think it ballooned up to 6K or something like that. So I think there was still a way for Deathcat definitely to win this. It was just more, playing those side lanes, because when we finish this and you look at the stats of the players, I want you all to pay very close attention to the number of assists that everybody on the team has. Obviously, you're going to see a high kill count from Samira. Once Samira goes in with the moving Katarina ultimate, there's a lot of damage that's going to come out and be done. But I want you to pay attention to how many assists all of the other members on Team on the Right have, because it really is telling how much of a team effort that was and how much they all participated and grouped up into this death ball and made this happen. And normally when teams want to play a death ball like that, you can answer that either by, with a whole lot of wave clear and try to answer on the side of the map to force them to split that death ball up to try to answer your split pusher, or you try to get some picks when they're answering there. But trying to ARAM with them and fight them in the middle doesn't always work. So we look at the stats here from them. You can see Magistab 17 assists, Cannon Teach 16 assists. By the way, Cannon Teach also sitting with 10 kills, so he was all over the map as well. Bullet Games 5 kills, 4 assists. But then you look double-digit kills and assists for Will Win, 18 assists for Bulldog Mentor on the Leona. I mean, this was, hey, we're going to group and we're going to make something happen here with all of our members.
Yeah, Justin, I keep replaying that third Drake fight over and over again.
Yes.
I think that was truly the first time where Deathcap for Cutie banded together as a team and they threw everything at Team on the Right. And to their credit, a lot of their stuff did stick. It was a great Alawi ultimate. It was a great Galio ultimate to follow up as well. But Will Win. He positions so well just outside of the engagement range of all of these champions. And then when he saw that all of their cooldowns are done, he goes in with that, spinning Beyblade death ball that Samira is and completely cleans up the fight. So I think that's great play by Will Win. And also a good try by Deathcap for Cutie. It's just that it kind of came too little too late because they needed that team mentality much earlier into the game to prevent Samira from being able to do what she did to them in that third Drake fight.
Yeah, that's the exact point I wanted to call out too, was the third dragon fight, specifically because of the nerves of steel from Cannon Teach. There's basically a 10 champion fight going on in this dragon pit. The dragon's at maybe 1600 health, I believe, and it's starting to melt down. Here comes the Ziggs ult over the top from the enemy team. This dude stays cool as water, right? He's like, this is fine, everything's good, right? The world is on fire around me, but I'm okay. Hits the smite at the perfect time, secures that third dragon for his team, and ensures that they're able to continue to stack those drakes. That was 3-0 at that time. So Team on the Right building a massive amount of momentum with that because it puts them on soul point. They then win the fight immediately afterwards. The fight Edmund was just talking about, that was very back and forth and very scrappy, but Team on the Right comes out with basically everything, and you really felt the momentum start to swing in their favor, because up until that point it was very back and forth, and Deathcap was kind of finding these angles, some good engages with Warwick, getting the fear to land, and securing some kills for themselves. But after that third dragon fight, Team on the Right really ran away with it.
Yeah, so that does bring an end to Deathcap for Cutie's season. It was a really good run. They finished the regular season, I believe, in second place. Somebody can correct me there if I'm wrong. So had a great run through the regular season, and then made it to the semifinals and fell just short there. So, but just kudos to their members. I like that. They really did have a solid identity, had some standout performances. Shiny Ninetales on the vein near the end of the season. Coach Dubs with the Darius Flash Q instant triple kill. That was amazing. Apocalypse, kind of coming into his own with the ganks. I remember the Sejuani game with Apocalypse was just a real standout. Sones with the pentakill, and then Rogue Otters with these clutch engages every single week. The Rakan is just unreal gameplay for these coaches, the way that they made things come together after kind of a rough start to their season, and then really came all together and then finished up second in the regular season. So kudos to them. They had a fantastic run. It was awesome watching them play, but unfortunately their season does come to an end. So Team on the Right does move on to the finals, and also Thursday night we had the match between Team Tragedy and Hotline Ping. Gentlemen, I am going to recuse myself from a majority of this conversation, just to not give anybody the wrong impression. I will go through the pick and ban phase, though, so I will describe that, and then I'll let y'all take it away from there. But Team Tragedy opening up with bans from Galio, Pike, and Samira. and Hotline Ping answering with Morgana, Seraphine, and Trundle. Team Tragedy opens up. First pick, blue side, Lux. Hotline Ping answers with Vayne, Cho'Gath. Team Tragedy grabs Nocturne. This is post Stridebreaker changes, right? So bringing that in and grabbing the Mundo. So this is kind of telegraphing the Mundo's likely going top here, not jungle, because none of the Tragedy solo laners have shown that they've played Nocturne. Even after even before the changes, right? So likely this is really telegraphed. Mundo going top, Nocturne going jungle. Hotline Ping finishes up the first pick phase with an Olaf, and then we go into second ban phase. Pantheon Nautilus bans coming out from Team Tragedy. Hotline Ping answering with a Xayah ban and a Ryze ban, which I believe Tragedy played into Hotline Ping the first time these two teams met. Hotline Ping rounds out or finishes their first or their second rather pick phase there with the Rakan. Tragedy comes in with Ziggs and a Veigar, so showing the double mages there, double AP, no traditional marksman in this match. And then Hotline Ping rounds out Champ Select with the Victor. Gentlemen, take it away.
Go ahead.
All right. I think the problems from Hotline Ping started right as the draft did, because in my view, they actually draft pretty similarly to Team on the Right, with a very like ADC centered focus, right? And they do so very well by starting off with a Vayne pick, right? But then they decide to go for a Cho'Gath second pick, and if you're trying to build a comp around your ADC, and we talked about this prior to the podcast starting as well, you need to pick champions that enable the ADC. So stuff like Lulu would have been an amazingly good pick for Vayne. Stuff like people who like to go into the team and like love being in the center of the fight, somebody like Set, somebody like a Mumu, they would have been really good value for Vayne, who can just sit back, stay at the back, and like free auto attack the front line with her, true damage passive. But as we said, a lot of people or players in Coach Rivals, they come from different experiences and different backgrounds, and they have a mixed amount of experience with the game, and especially with the champions that they play. So there would be some understandable draft limitations going into this match, and it's so unfortunate that they had to go against Team Tragedy, the team that went undefeated the entire season with their amazing, teamwork and draft champion pool. And you take this and you say, wow, if we don't really have that teamwork and aggression advantage, if we don't have the draft advantage, then what do we have? So I think right from the beginning, Team Tragedy just looked really scary from the outset, and Hotline Ping wasn't able to win draft to a point where they can say, okay, we can stabilize any losses in the early game. We just wait for Vayne in the late game, and ultimately they weren't able to do that because their champions, which are like Olaf, Cho'Gath, like Rakan, they get their value from being aggressive as well to a certain extent. But Vayne gets most of her value from being defensive, from free hitting in the backline, and scaling instead of having mind-blowing flashy plays like the Samira Leona duo that we had earlier. But ultimately, I think this is just like the start of their problems, especially the draft, and then we can move on to the actual game and see how Team Tragedy's execution just completely got that lead, that really crucial lead for the early game, especially with the Drakes, and how they snowballed it into a win.
Yeah, I love the analysis, Edmund. Thank you. I think that's really good about having kind of different objectives. Essentially, some of these champions kind of want to get strong early in the game before 25. Some want to scale until 35 minutes. So it's kind of different there. But I want to talk about the picks and especially the bans a little bit too, because what I liked here. So first thing, Hotline Ping bans out the Morgana. It's been something that Tragedy has been kind of allowed to play a lot of the season, where a lot of other teams haven't, because Morgana has been one of the highest ban rate champions. Tragesy's been able to play it a lot. Well, Hotline Ping takes it away, and I thought that was pretty smart, right? Because it's a strong pick. Um, Tragedy comes back. The Galio ban, I think that's something that they had. You guys had already kind of worked out, Justin, I'm sure, but you won't reveal. And but the next two, I know exactly why those bans came through, because you get the Pike ban, which is a target ban for Ched, because Ched's Pike. You casted that game.
Yeah, I
Edmund,
casted that game. He had an insane quadra kill, and I screamed my head off with that play that he made.
Yeah, on the Pike, right? So the Pike ban has to come through. And then the Samira ban is targeted because Daddy Kai got a pentakill just last week on the Samira. So okay, cool. All that checks out. I like the bans, right? The Lux pick is perfect for Team Tragedy because it gives you basically the exact same thing that you get with Morgana.
Absolutely, yes.
Minus, the Black Shield. Sure, okay, you don't get that ability to negate a spell, but you do get a shield, you do get the root, you do get a slow, right? All those things that you would kind of want in Morgana's kit are there. So it negates the Morgana ban a little bit, which is interesting because it's such an important ban, but at the same time, Tragedy does a good job of realizing, hey, we should first pick this because it's so important. Boom, there it is. And then the Cho'Gath pick, I like because Cartera's played a lot of Cho'Gath, and it's been oh, Tony came in, by the way. He said it was Lux. Yes, Coach Tony confirmed it was Lux. Okay, anyway, so the Cho'Gath pick comes in for Cartera, which is something she plays a lot. So okay, it's a comfort pick. I like it, and I think Tragedy had planned for this with the Mundo, because I don't remember that they played Mundo all season. A few Scion games and all that good stuff. But I think the Mundo is a specific counter pick to the Cho'Gath because it negates the knockup with his passive, right? Just like, oh, you knocked out my canister, so now you don't knock me up. So it's a very smart kind of move because you're anticipating the Cho'Gath pick as a comfort pick anyway. And then I like Hotline Ping picking up the Olaf because Justin has voiced his hate for Olaf, his despise for the champion. I hate playing against it, blah, blah, blah. So I like that they pick it up because they're like, oh man, I know why he hates it. I'm going to pick it up so that he has to deal with it. So I think the first three picks for both teams are pretty phenomenal, right? As far as like, okay, this is what we wanted, this is what we got. But then to your point, I think the end of the draft is where Tragedy gets the better of Hotline Ping. The Ziggs ADC pick coming in was huge. Justin, you're on the show. I don't want to stroke your ego, but like, I mean, the Ziggs ADC game, that's exactly how you want to play Ziggs ADC. You were getting the satchel charges on the towers, making sure you were hitting the bouncing bombs over the minions so that you could land the long range. Tony's here. He's talking already. He's like, sorry guys, I was playing softball. But yeah, it was played really well. And that's what you want to see when you're going to take a risk on a pick like that. Like, I'm not going to pick a traditional ADC. I'm going to pick up Ziggs. I can do terrible or I can carry the game, and you saw how it worked out really well here because he was able to just kind of free fire. It was awesome.
To add to Ronnie's point, Ziggs gets enabled really well by long range lockdown mages, just like Lux and Morgana, and it makes Ziggs be able to hit all of his skill shots really easily, hit ultis very easily, and I think especially in the case of Justin, he played really well because he would only use the satchel charge on the turret or to escape a gank. You can kind of see the Olaf's frustration in the middle of the gank when he used it to dodge the Olaf axe mid gank, and that was just really well played, especially in conjunction with the Lux root and the slow. Olaf didn't really have any answer to that, especially in the early game when he doesn't have his ultimate to counter it. And I just have to give a hint to team on the right here. Maybe it's not worth betting Morgana and more worth betting Ziggs. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Anyways,
so we got some highlights going now.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Let's see. Justin is seething now because I'm giving a secret away.
Yeah,
but
this was perfect. No, not to interrupt you, but that Lux max range binding, that was so just picture perfect. Layering of abilities with Eric, with the Piper Maru coming up from behind with the binding, and then again here in the top lane with Coach Magros hitting the R from Fog of War on the Mundo so that he gains all that health back, comes back out. You thought he was at 10% health, he's at 35% health. You're like, what the heck? This amazing snipe with the zigs over the top, throwing it into Ched as he retreated into the tower. Really close play, and it was just all aces for the first couple of minutes from you guys. It was pretty spicy. Oh yeah, we see some of these Lux ults coming in. You guys weren't afraid to use them, man. I was impressed.
So I want to highlight a key early game play that happened for Team Tragedy. So, Mundo and Nocturne came up for a gank on the top side, and Mundo started tanking turrets, right? But little did they know, Mundo still had his ult, and he used that like low health that he had to bait the Olaf into the fight. He even flashed away to sell his point, right? But then he went into the bush, pressed R, and then yeah, boom, 35% HP. And then Olaf was just like, surprise Pikachu face. And I love that Nocturne turned off the lights right as Olaf got into the bush and got vision,
Yes.
so that Cho'Gath couldn't like help him and like land some CC, right? Eric used his passive auto attack to kill the Olaf, and then used the ultimate subsequently to go after the Cho'Gath and kill him
Yep.
as well. That was just like art in motion,
Yeah,
honestly. So
that
well
was like
played by
that.
both Eric and Coach Magros. That was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that was like call the ambulance, but not for me type of
Yeah.
moment. Absolutely. And then to your point about enabling the zigs, right? This was our only, if I'm not mistaken, Justin, our only Vagar game that resulted in a win all season.
I will have to double check the stats. I'll let you
I
keep
think
talking
so.
while I double check the
Yeah.
stats.
I think this is the only Vagar game that's resulted in a win for a team, because there's been a couple of them. It hasn't really worked out. And I think when you combine it with something like a Ziggs, people aren't expecting, well, this double AP thing kind of coming through, and you're able to layer in so many abilities because you get the cage, which has the AoE, stun. You're going to be able to stun 2, 3 people potentially. And then the Ziggs ult lays right on top of that. These Yordles work pretty well together, ironically.
Yeah, I think apart from the paycheck y'all gave Vayne early game, the game was really just like played to almost perfection. You could have fooled me if you said like this was an LCS team in action. Okay, maybe not that much, but still, my point
So
still
wait a
stands
minute.
because this was just like wow, like this is I think a testament of what teamwork can do for you to raise like the like quote unquote skill level the entire team, even though each player like individually isn't a very high rank in solo queue. What happens when you have like a cohesive team with a structure behind it is that they produce plays that are well beyond what people think their capabilities to be. And I think especially the teamwork from Coach Magros, from Eric, the absolute duo bot lane, which is Justin and Piper Maru. It was. I
Yeah.
want my boys in British International School to play like you guys did, basically.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. I know. No, it's a thing of beauty, man, when you see a complete game from a team, because there are so many moments when, I mean, League of Legends is a game of decisions, right? You've got a decision tree, and every 30 seconds or so, you're making decisions that affect the outcome of the game. Sometimes even more rapidly than that, right? Every 5, 10 seconds, if there's something crazy going on. And to make that many decisions in a row that are the exact correct decision, and kind of like combo chain that all the way to a victory is really difficult to do. And it's really fun to see, because it's like, it's not something that a lot of teams are capable of, especially when you mix all these different ranks. Everyone has different objectives. Oh, I want to split push, I want to go for Baron, and so getting everyone on the same page, and making sure that all 5 players kind of know, hey, what are we doing, without even having to ask. Sometimes you can tell whenever it's that cohesive, and it really showed in this semifinal match for Team Tragedy.
So, Ronnie, I want to highlight the fourth Drake fight that happened about 25 minutes into or 26 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Uh, it is. We will note that Team Tragedy had a really good lead coming into this fight, but they were kind of displaced early on in the fight by like the absolute damage of Vayne, right? And I want to highlight like what Eric does here. Like he is a very aggressive player, like Justin told me earlier on in the podcast, and the team had to find a way to channel that aggression productively to use it to get leads on early game and in team fights. And early on in this team fight, he was exhausted. He had Vayne hitting him. He was taking a 500 health. Like Olaf was hitting him and he was 500 health. He still manages to go in. He still goes in with his ult into 3 people. 3. And then not only that, he was taken to below 100 health 3 more times, only having Triumph to save him, and then his clutch fear comes in and he was able to wipe the entire team with, steel clad like just balls basically
Yeah,
under,
nerves of
underneath him.
steel.
And he manages to survive the entire fight. That play, it takes so much cojones to be able to make that play happen, and yet Eric like stood by his guns and said, "Oh yeah, I see that thread of fate, opening for me. I'm gonna take it." And like that's a rare quality to have, where he can hit it so consistently. It's just so in like so many games. But it's also credit to his team, who's always behind him, always ready to support him. And I think there was like a clutch Lux shield that hit Eric right as he goes in. I think without that shield, Eric would have just died, and he
Yep.
would have traded 1 for 1, and then it would have been like a 2 for 4. But Vayne survives or et cetera, et cetera. But still,
Yeah.
absolute clean play from Team Tragedy.
Yeah. And Eric's the one who pulled the trigger initially on that fight, the one you're talking about, because Cho'Gath was a little too far forward. So even Cho'Gath, he said, "You can't overstep. I got you." Because even though you've got 3K health, I know I can kill you. And they collapse on the Cho'Gath, secure the kill, and then now it's a 4 versus 5. The fight was really chaotic. Chad lands like a 3-man knockup at one point with the Rakan Grand entrance. I mean, it was dicey. It looked like, I mean, it really could go either way. And even though team team on the right, Team Tragedy is up 14-3 at this point. I mean, really, that fight was on knife's edge. And yeah, kudos to Eric, especially for coming up big in that fight. But yeah, like you mentioned, the Lux shield enabled him, landing the ult enabled him, like making sure that the satchel charges were keeping people away enabled him. It was truly a team effort. And yeah, I thought for sure he was dead in that fight, and he was down to like 100 health, 50 health, and then somehow just keeps life stealing, keeps on, chugging away. And yeah, man, really, really tough. Showed a lot of grit to stay in that fight. So, ironically, I gotta give. I didn't give out an MVP in the last one. I gotta give MVP in this one to not Eric, which sounds crazy because what a performance. But I gotta give it honestly to. It's kind of a tie between Piper Maru and Coach Magros, both deathless, both complete team players here. 11 assists from Coach Magros, 9 from Piper Maru. She lands the binding that essentially handed the first blood to Eric, the max range binding in the river. She was really clutch on a lot of these big ultimates. I think Nishama even saved Daddy Kai at one point on one of these, big plays. So it was
Ched actually.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
satcheled Ched out of
Yeah.
of Danielle's ultimate. So
Yeah,
let the
yeah.
I mean, complete and I satcheled Saikazi away from Coach Magros one time.
You're like,
Fortunately, I was able
"No."
to. It was, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it was kill stealing. Like I satcheled
Yeah.
him away from Coach Magros, and then I hit the bouncing bomb. But yeah, I
Yeah.
had some pretty bad satchels there.
Yeah,
So
it was-
yeah, so I actually robbed Piper Maru of the kill.
Yeah, so I think her KDA could have been even a little bit more padded, but I gotta say, yeah, man, like hats off to everybody. But really, really top lane and support. You guys carried some weight. Coach Magros with 187 CS. Bro, you are on fire. It's incredible.
All right. So thank you, gentlemen, for reviewing that matchup. So that does set us up for the finals, which is going to be taking place this Thursday in just a few short days. That's going to have Team Tragedy taking on Team on the Right. And because it's the finals, it's going to be a different matchup. This is not a best of one. It will be a best of three between these two teams. So we're going to have that extra element of strategy thrown in there, where both teams are going to bring their best to game one, and then we're going to see some adaptations from both teams potentially going into game number two, based on success. May have some altered bands and things of that nature. So that's something that's really cool with or that's a cool difference between best of one and best of three. Is with best of one, you're coming in with, okay, we know we have like this handful of champions that we want to ban, and then we're good to go. But based on how game one goes in a best of three scenario, you may have to prepare for like bands that you never thought you were going to throw out. Like we never thought that the Ash was going to be something that we would have to ban, but based on however the team plays in game number one, you may have some adaptations there. So we are seeing that matchup between Team Tragedy and Team on the Right. Gentlemen, we're going to go into slides 24 and 25 here. You just tell me when you want me to move on, but we're going to take a look at Team on the Right first.
Yeah, so Team on the Right, man. We've talked a bit about their unique adaptation to top lane, right? We've had a couple Lulu games. We started off the season with Morgana, followed by Veigar, and then after that, it's been much more traditional kind of top laners with the Shen and Ornn coming through. Um, I love kind of both versions of this team, but I prefer Magistav on a traditional top laner, because this guy can really put on like the weak side carry boots, so to speak, where he knows he's just basically got to not die and build up the momentum to late game. This guy can do it, man. Like, a lot of top laners get impatient. Oh man, I want to go for this kill. I think I can get it. Oh no, the jungler was there. I wasn't looking. My bad, guys. And now you've thrown away, 15 minutes of the game basically. This guy is the type where he's so much of a team player. He's going to put on, his best uh, amount of patience he can, right? And just farm up, farm up, farm up. And I love that from him. Cannon Teach, he's been showing us a lot of Volibear and Rammus lately. Especially the Volibear has been incredibly strong. Basically, the win condition, I would almost say, for Team on the Right, as every single one of their wins has been with him on Volibear except one. So and that was the Rammus game. So this guy has been just dominating on the Volibear. He hasn't lost a game when he plays it. So if it does get through the pick and ban phase, Volibear is really, really, really powerful in Cannon Teach's hands. But even if it doesn't, he's shown he can do the exact same thing with Rammus. So I mean, do you ban Rammus and Volibear? I don't know. That's a pretty big, it's a pretty tall order. But and then moving into the mid lane, bullet games. He's been playing a lot of these kind of assassin style champions. Fizz, Akali, played some Katarina earlier in the season. He's really into playing those assassin style characters and kind of making leads for his team by getting those picks. So the opposite of Magistav, where he's going to want to play safe. Bullet games is he's the guy who's going to say go before asking any questions. So, always interesting to watch the mid lane matchup. And then the bot lane duo with Wilwyn and Bulldog Mentor, we've talked about. Bulldog Mentor wanting to play these engaged supports. You see a lot of Leona, a lot of Nautilus, got some Alistair in there, Rakan. All these champions serve the exact same purpose. And Wilwyn has shown he can play the Ezreal, he can play the Samira. I mean, heck, he got a win on Kindred the other day. So, really competent ADC player, can play just about anything proficiently. And as long as his team is setting him up, which they're going to do with the style of champions that they're picking, yeah, he's going to pop off. What do you think, Edmund?
Hint, hint. Maybe an ADC ban for Team Tragedy is not the best idea here because
Yeah.
this man has a champion. Ocean will win. But I do want to add that whatever it happens, Justin, I just want to see a game 3 happen. I
Yeah.
would want to let it go down to like
He
one
doesn't.
final.
I tell you right now, Justin doesn't want to see a game 3.
Yeah, so yeah, you hear that, team on the right? If you can't
Yeah.
force a win with 2 rounds, force it with 3.
Yeah.
And look, taking a closer look at the draft, I watch a lot of LS. He's a content creator on YouTube, and he does like professional like analysis, right? Analysis for pro teams, and he actually says that Lulu top is one of the most underrated picks, like for a top lane in basically in this current meta, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. This is doubly like important, especially when you see that team on the right puts a lot of carry potential into Will Win. They tend to funnel him with a lot of the gold and CS and hope that his like mechanical skill as an ADC player would carry them in like late game team fights, and that's a very solid strategy, right? However, they need to draft a team comp that enables him, which is what, in my opinion, brought down Hotline Ping. They need to like get this, Shen, Lulu, all of them really good. Rammus is good. Volibear, in my personal opinion, not so much. I prefer the Rammus pick. I think Kale could come in as a surprise pick, but if Bullet Games is more comfortable on the Fizz Akali, then that's completely fine. But Will Win, my man, you have to not fall into the trap of picking like a super like an ADC that relies really heavily in the early game and doesn't have too much scaling potential. I don't really like the Lucian pick, in my opinion. It can work as a vacuum in some cases, but I like prefer the potential of Ezreal. I like Jinx. I like Samira, and if like ultimately you're gonna try to have Ezreal, Jinx, Samira, etc., come into that late game team fight with 6 items, teeth bared, like claws out, and like completely like do a number on Team Tragedy, right? However, Team Tragedy's greatest strength, in my opinion, against this kind of draft is their early game. And if you would like to move on to Team Tragedy's draft, let me know, or if you want to have
we're good.
additional
Yeah.
points on Team on the right.
This is good.
So yeah, on to Team Tragedy's draft, right? As stated earlier, I believe their greatest strength is like their teamwork, especially in setting up plays in the early game. So team on the right, they have to have this mentality where Eric 29 can literally be anywhere. Okay, so like if they have to manipulate the lane state in such a way that for Eric to come in, he's gonna have to blow more time and like flashes and like etc. Then it's worth for him to come gank. So basically, if he ganks, blows the flash, but then gets nothing out of it, that's a win. And like team on the right needs these wins early game to prevent like Eric and Justin from like completely getting a lead in the early game and like nullifying that ADC into the very late game. So their mechanics have to be on point, their vision control have to be on point for the big day, and especially the mechanics of like defending against the dive under tower. Especially since Team Tragedy, what I think is an underrated skill of theirs is they know how to dive really efficiently, like to share turret aggro, make sure the turret doesn't aggro one person over the next. So that's a really, really key ability in like making sure dives are a success. But Majestave, he's shown up with that Shen, he takes TP, in top lane, so there could be potential counters, right? So it's going to be up to Coach Magros to somehow stop that from happening. If he plays Sion, he's going to have that Q to stop the Shen from TPing out. The Trundle Pillar can be a very useful tool as well. But yeah, I think the absolute duo of Nishama and Maru, it's going to be slightly nullified in the face of the Diamond Chad, which will win. But they've shown us in the past that they have that teamwork to be able to go against ADCs of a much higher stature of their solo queue rank, as we did with Daddy Kai. So any thoughts on that, Ronnie?
Yeah, I think to your point, both teams are really good at tower dives, right? Team on the right, they specialize in this like minute 3, minute 4 pile in on bot lane dive, and I think Team Tragisty does the same thing, but it's more of a mid lane focus where Eric will show up, boom, I'm here in the mid lane. You weren't expecting me. And he'll come from like a really weird angle, like we saw in the last game. He came from his opponent's chicken camp. And I believe he cleared the camp first and then came down. So that essentially cuts off your route for escape. And, credit to Zenburn for getting away during that gank. He had to flash. He walked away with like 10% health or something. But that's kind of, they have that same idea, but they do it in different lanes, right? Team Tragedy wants to get Drake Prime ahead or net something for Eric 29 and put the opposing mid laner behind. Whereas Team on the right, they really want to get bot lane set up real nice. They want to get Will Win ahead. They want to get him a couple of kills, whenever possible. So, really with Team Tragedy, it's more about kind of spreading it around. Obviously, Eric is going to get his kills and he's going to capitalize anytime he sees an opportunity. But the rest of the team, it's about kind of spreading it around. Nishama's not going to go, 26 0 and 4, right? Like it's really more so of a team effort with these guys. And you've seen it where one member has had to step up at a different moment, where you saw, Nishama in that big game against the backdoor Fiora that was going in. We saw Piper Maru come up big in this last game. We've seen Eric with the kind of like dueling against the junglers and the Xin Zhao game back in week 3 where he like completely shut down the Viego. Coach Magros has had games where he's had to come up and be the big carry playing the Scion. So everyone has had these different moments, and like it's really impressive to see kind of the team cohesion. And you get a lot of that from the mid lane picks as well. 3 picks for Seraphine. That's a very team oriented mid lane pick. So again, these guys they're not afraid to go on that kind of like backseat and let the game come to them rather than trying to go out and make a bunch of crazy plays and then like goof them up or something.
I'm sorry, did Team Tragedy pick Ezreal jungle against Spawn of Baron and win?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, Eric,
That's insane.
that was a pretty controversial game because we didn't know where the different champions were going, and at that point in the season, Tragedy had locked up their position, and they were kind of not playing for fun exactly, but it was kind of like, all right, let's see how this goes, and they managed to get the dub. It was pretty dicey. That Ezreal game was. I don't think he's going to be playing it again. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So, message to team on the right: don't forget that Eric 29. He peaked last season in Diamond 3.
Yeah.
So this man is absolutely freaking stacked. He peaked season 7 Diamond 2, which is an amazing feat. And I think if he were to pick that Nocturne again in that penultimate game, I think Rammus would come very valuable indeed, because Rammus with that taunt can shut down the Nocturne. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how each team plays out the draft over especially 2 or even 3 games. So I want to see those like adaptations, and I want to see maybe Team Tragedy have a little bit more scaling, have a little bit more late game insurance in their repertoire, and maybe even a pocket pick. Like, who knows? Maybe Coach Magros goes AD Scion, even though I don't know if he has that in his pocket pick. Maybe he pulled something out like Urgot top, something that's insanely strong, or Fiora, and it's gonna be like, especially in like a best of 3, those like pocket picks where no one like viewed them as a possibility of coming in can be the difference of having utter confusion in the early game and like controlling that confusion to turn into a lead and then to win. Or if you're going to go to a more traditional pick, then they have to play it better than they did at game 1, using the things they've learned in game 1 to kind of, it's more like they play the same champion, but then they play them differently, so to speak. to adapt to the circumstances instead of picking a different champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, I mean, these teams are very unique. Justin, if you want to go to that next slide, um, if you look at the kind of the breakdown, both teams have very unique identities. There's almost no champions that these two teams share in common. You have, a lot of like similar style champions, but you see like Eric 29 and Canatech, they don't play the same junglers. Drake Prime and Bullet Games, they don't play the same mid laner. So these teams are very different, and it's really cool to see that they both had success getting to this point and making it all the way to the championship, doing it in completely different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Olaf, and I mean not the Olaf, I'm sorry, the Ornn and the Varus. I'm wondering if they're going to be hotly contested picks, but I think I know for sure when I say that if any of these two teams ban out Ornn or Varus, they're essentially shooting themselves in the foot, because that's a pick that basically is prevented on both sides, right? But then why would you waste a ban on banning your own champion? I think that makes no sense. And I think I like the diversity of champions coming in from both teams. Both teams, I think the smallest champion pool of both teams is 3 players in Piper Maru, and for a bronze player to be able to play 3 champions that consistently well, that's just amazing in my opinion. And having 3 champions, right, means that they could, team on the right, if they decide to devote all 3 of their bans to Piper Maru, like poor Piper Maru, right, their entire other team is going to be able to have 3 really key picks on R1, R2, or B1, B2 of the draft phase. So I think some hotly contested picks here, probably Ezreal. I feel like Eric 29, he made Ezreal jungle work, right? And that's
No.
and you say
No,
it's
he
not a
did not.
contested pick.
He
said
did not.
no.
He
Oh,
did not make it work. No.
They won the game, but it was not.
Okay, they won the game, but they didn't make it work. But Will win. Will win plays Ezreal.
Yeah.
It's like, does he lock in Ezreal just to stump Will win?
Take
like,
it away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
right.
XD, right? Like 5 head. And yeah, I think I'm really interested to see when the Lulu, or if the Lulu or the Shen comes in, or if Rammus comes in. I think those are really key picks. I think Bullet Games, if he has a little bit more experience on Viego, that could be a very good pick as well, because well, LS, he refers to Viego as Vape Nash because his E, when he throws out his E, it looks like he's throwing out a cloud, right? So that's why they call it Vape Nash.
Nash.
But that mini game of like making sure Viego doesn't get resets from his passive, it's gonna be so hard to deal with if you are Team Tragedy and they do opt into Viego as the mid lane pick. But I honestly think it's too close to call. I think it's like, this is Diamond Jungler with the stack team versus Diamond ADC with the stack composition. So it's really hard to tell. I for one, folks, this is a match that you would not miss in a million years. This is like the second coming of SKT and Scoo Tigers. G2 versus Fnatic, TSM versus Cloud9. This is a game of that scale, folks. You do not want to miss it.
Yeah, we got the what was it? Fnatic coming out of retirement, right? You got Xpeke coming out here for the backdoors. I don't know. You guys are. Yeah, I sound like a boomer now, but
No, Coach Magros, he's like the Baus FFS cosplayer with the Scion. I think one of the plays I can remember him making is like early game, or he TP'd into the Drake for a fight, and then he landed like a perfect 3-man Q into a 3-man ultimate, and it was just clean,
Chef's kiss.
bellissimo, yeah,
Bellissimo.
fantastico. So yeah, no, I'm just.
Yeah,
Dude,
this is
why can't
great.
it be August 5 already,
I know,
Like-
seriously. Like we're 3 days away. Can you confirm the time for us for the game, Justin?
We're currently working that out. We've got because we're all adults, and
right.
some of us are older than others. We've got family responsibilities and things of that nature. I gotta get up, and go to work the next day, and we've got some East
Yeah.
Coast people. So I'm trying to get 8 p.m. Central. It was proposed later, but I don't think that's really gonna work out for us. So we're gonna work that out so it's we can kind of compromise from both teams. Ideally, we're never gonna find a perfect time, but we're looking at 8 p.m. Central. That would be. I think that's probably fair. For everybody. Obviously, early would be great. Like 6 p.m. Central would be great for me, but not so good for the people with younger kids. My kids are, I got a senior going into high school, or one going to a senior in high school. So it's I don't have to worry about tucking her in.
Yeah, right.
But we've got some others with some little kids, and we want to be kind of mindful of that.
Well, chat's telling you to suck it up and just figure it out.
It's like, hey, if you need a substitute right now, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
It's like it's last minute substitute for Team Tragedy, goes by the
Yeah.
name of Faker, and then like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
Why do I
right.
hear boss fight music?
Yeah, right. What is this? This is great.
So it's gonna be August 5th. Man, look, this was a wholesome family podcast that we had done regularly, and then
Robbie.
three. No, well, don't just blame it on Robbie. Okay, look, I've got 3 Texas folks coming in here that's making this. Now we're flirting with getting our show canceled because we had obviously we had Robbie's picture on there that I had to censor. Ronnie said pissed the other week on the
did.
podcast, and Edmund's dropping balls. So
Yeah,
like,
he did say balls. What
I
have we
think the
become?
connotation for balls is much wider than you think. So,
Oh,
like, what if it's a literal ball?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could.
Hey,
you could
leave me
start
out of
the
he
it.
rule.
has massive dodgeballs. He has
Yeah,
2
yeah.
massive dodgeballs he walks around with. It gives him courage.
Yes, Rift Happens, brought to you by Hot Tub Streams.
Yeah, hot tub streams. I think speaking of, by the way, I feel like we don't name drop the show often enough, Justin. I
Oh,
think
absolutely, yeah.
we should make it a point to work in Rift Happen, like really cheesy sometimes, right? Like, well, Rift Happens, guy. I don't even know. I'm
Yeah,
so
Ezreal Jungle, Rift Happens, man.
Rift Happens.
But yeah, you know what they say. Rift
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. Like I don't know, but I'm trying to work it out, right? We're gonna. That's a note, right? We could put that into the show doc for next week. We got
Chat's
we gotta
like, I mean,
name
we've
drop.
already got some suggestions in there, so.
Yeah. You got ganked. Rift Happens, man. These are great. I'm gonna write these down. Yeah.
So those highlights for anybody that missed, if you want to go back and watch those highlights, because we kind of breeze them pretty quickly here, but those are available in the highlights and bloopers channel on the Coach Rivals Discord. But that is going to do it for us. I want to especially thank obviously my co-host that is always with me, Ronnie B down there dancing it up, and then our special neutral guest here for episode 9, Edmund, Pathfinder. Hopefully, Pathfinder, you going to be casting this Thursday? I'm putting you on the spot there.
Oh, yes. Please put me in, Coach. Please put me in. I'm going to have, the best time ever.
All right.
The
So,
championship cast from the championship coach.
So, yeah, everyone, clear your calendar for August 5th. That's the big day. That's the day you want to come watch Coach Rivals.
Yeah.
And when you're watching it Twitch, don't forget to drop us a follow, or if you're feeling especially generous, Twitch Prime sub, or even an actual sub. All proceeds will benefit gaming organizations one way or another in schools, where we give them microgrants to start funding high school programs for esports. So your dollar will be very wisely spent.
Well said.
he pitched that better than you and I ever have.
I don't think I've ever. Like, I'm always just like, yeah, man, Justin, do the pitch, bro. And I'm always like,
Thanks for
I
being
never
here. See
even-
y'all next week.
Yeah, I never even try. And like, this dude comes in F1 and he's like, hey guys, make sure you follow and you like
Yeah.
my face and all this. I'm like, damn.
I watch too much Linus Tech Tips. Which reminds me, CoachRivals.gg. Check out our store as well, because as you know, we're partnered up with Skulls, and we have something in the works. So stay tuned for that, especially after the conclusion of CR Season 2 finals. Team Tragedy against Team on the Right. Coming to you live August 5th.
Ooh, the announcer voice.
I think he's trying to take this over. I think
Yeah.
it's ready to turn the reins over to Edmund.
Yeah, it's a generational podcast.
Yeah, right. 9
Wait a
episodes
sec, wait a
and
sec,
we hand
wait-
over the reins.
Yeah,
Did you just
not-
call us old?
I think that's what I heard.
Yeah. You whippersnapper.
But anyways, thank y'all both for helping me out. I could not possibly do this by my own for my two trophy hosts, trophy co-hosts being with us. I've got to bring some clout to the cast here because I can't do it on my own. And thank you all to our listeners for your wonderful works of art that you have submitted. This show was one of a kind. It will never be forgotten. So that was awesome. I shed many a tear laughing with these two guys. So that was awesome. Again, thank you all so much for being here. And we will see you all on Thursday night.